Becoming Miss Reed. Well, right now, my name is Christian Reed-Ogba, but I had to be Miss Reed before I could become a Mrs. Reed-Ogba. This is a story about representation and how it matters. This is a story about me. This is a story about my mom and how she represented everything I could imagine myself to be as an entrepreneurial woman. At 3 years old, I was basically mute, if you let my father tell it. I refused to speak. I had nothing to say. It wasn't until one Sunday at church, I was confused for my older sister, Chloe, who was just 2 years older than me and quite possibly my exact twin, and we were probably wearing the same color outfit or the same style, different variations of color that my mom made us. But I was confused for her, and it brought anger in me. So without missing a beat, my hands went to my hips and my neck rolled and my sentence was presented. My name is Christian, is what I told this sister. And when I did my pivot to walk away from this, who knows, sister at this church, she followed right behind me to tell my mama what I had done. "Sister Reed, your daughter is rude," she said. My mom politely asked what happened. She caught an attitude with me to tell me her name. Still smiling, my mom looked at this sister and she said, "I don't see nothing wrong with that." And looks at me and in that same moment says, "You define you. Next time, just do it with a smile." My mom smiled at everything. She has a really gorgeous smile. She smiles at adversity when I'm pretty sure everyone told her she couldn't launch a clothing line at 17. Pretty sure she smiled through it. She must have smiled when she was the youngest seamstress for artists at Motown, like Gladys Knight and the Pips. I'm pretty sure she was smiling when she was making costumes for Chicago's equivalent of Broadway theaters. I'm sure she smiled when I, my sister, and my brother graduated from college and when we decided to launch businesses. She smiled most often when she was seeing her clients in our basement studio. She interacted with so many different types of women: lawyers, judges, professional women, teachers, who on their lunch breaks would visit our East Side home and go down into our studio basement where my mom would encourage them to experience clothes making. She would see their pictures and make designs and patterns. She would sometimes argue with them as just how low those skirts would go or how high those shirts were supposed to come up for the church sisters. And she would do so with a smile. She would work with women to create the image that they wanted to present to the world. And that is what taught me to find my smile, find what makes me happy, find a way to amplify the voices of women around me. And using happiness and a smile to do that has made me so successful. And so I began to embrace more women that would smile with me. And those women, I began to notice, just like the women that visited my mom's basement studio, were very stylish women. Very stylish women. Women with style, in my opinion. Growing up, watching women in church, I had aunts that were attorneys and judges, watching women go to court and move within and out of their lives and visiting our homes on their lunch breaks, bringing with them bags from Bloomingdale's and Nordstrom's and Neiman's. Clothes that these women wanted altered, and my mom would take them and make them fit and give them their style. The more prominent ones would come with bags from Joann Fabrics or Minnesota Fabrics, and the really, really prominent ones would bring bags from Zimco's, a luxury fabric retailer downtown. It was the place where dreams are made, where gowns are made, where the ultimate presentation was concocted, Those were the women I wanted to be around, is what I told myself. I wanted to embrace women that had style. Pretty soon, women that had style began to gravitate to me. They would be introduced to me. They would become my mothers. This woman, top left, is my mother-in-law, a prominent businesswoman in Lagos, Nigeria. They would become mentors and friends. They would become my grandmother and my aunts. They would become parts of my life that I could never, ever put value on. They will become invaluable. And I began to learn to work with women with style. Representing women in a space where it is safe for them to be themselves is what my mom did. Every year we would travel to whatever southern city the Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ would host their convention. People would line up to meet at my mom's booth, whether she was selling collars or silk gloves or gowns for choirs or lapels or even ties. People would enjoy finding ways that they could work with my mom to create the style that they wanted to make. When the women would bring their Zimco's bags to my mother's basements, she would look at the picture, not a pattern, and figure out how to create the proper look that these women were looking to acquire. They were looking to invest in themselves, and my mother was willing to invest in them as well. She would bring out pens and large pieces of paper and large pieces of cloth to create patterns. And she would say, there's grace in the give of elastic, sometimes often behind the waistband here, or a little lower on your hemline. There's grace in the give. It taught me never to compete with the pattern. Collaborate, build with it, organize your creativity around it. Speaking of creativity, you have to stay creative. When you're the daughter of a seamstress and a quilter, and a woodworker, and a set designer, and a product developer, you can't help but to be creative, right? Wrong. I can't draw a straight line. I can't figure out how to make an even circle. I have hard times drawing anything outside of the normal stick figure house, stick figure person, tree with giant balloons on it. That's it. That's all I can draw. My creativity comes from doing, and that is what my mom let me know. She would build whatever she wanted to see in our home, whether it be reupholstering couches. She taught me how to reupholster a chair. I still have that chair, and I used fabric from an import store that my grandmother used to own. And she taught me how to utilize my creativity as time to keep myself, anchoring myself in my creativity. Staying creative was, or is, my favorite generational lesson. My mother represented creativity in my life. She's a quilter, a set designer, a maker, a builder, a woodworker. She has immense, undeniable talent to produce, literally, things that people can use every single day. Me, I'm a writer and a connector, so it takes a little time. But when it is time for me to sit down, I think on my grandmother, who was an importer. She imported goods, art, textiles, sculptures from Africa. She often engaged with African merchants who she had to subtly and sweetly demand respect from. She got creative. She utilized the products over and over and over again. Things that didn't sell between the seasons of her stores being open, she would turn into new things. The hats, the dolls, different quilts, wall hangings, art pieces. My mother would do the same, oftentimes reimagining her dresses between the seasons, cutting, copying, pasting, doing different things with the same pattern. They stayed creative and created long-lasting businesses. My mother, still very creative, has now passed on a new skill to me. I'm attempting upholstery, and I'm using fabrics that my grandmother imported. Nothing will go to waste when you are creative. It's what my mother used to tell me. Now she tells me, you want these old things? I'm pretty sure you can make something. As my mother engaged with more and more clients as her business grew, she decided to return to university to receive her bachelor's degree in business management. We were so proud, but at the same time, a little bit eerie of my mother taking the Detroit City bus between our North End neighborhood and downtown Detroit, where she attended Wayne State University. My brother and I would often catch her in and out of campus, and she would be rocking with her rolling book bag, smiling and enjoying campus life. She was roughly 45 years old, and no one believed that she was roughly 45 years old attending university. She told me that the professors thought that she was a professor at one moment. I often asked her, Mom, is this really something you need to do? She said, no, I've engaged with women all of my life. I don't have to go and get this degree. I can look and learn. I can see opportunity. I can put myself in a space where I can show what I know. But it is because I have embraced the woman I want to be that I want to achieve this goal. You see, she wasn't putting all her eggs in one basket. She was creating a new basket. And my mom probably is a basket maker. But at this moment, she created a new space for me to learn about mentorship. She had learned plenty from the women that she sold for. She had learned plenty living in Chicago and in New York City, traveling to Africa. She had learned. She had lived a life worth living. But she wanted to do more. And that moment taught me that looking and learning and seeing and finding and building your own opportunity were all the same thing. Denise inspired me to teach when I would sign her up for Career Day. I would sign my mom up for Career Day from the moment I got into school. I would literally look for Career Day on the calendar and make sure my mom's coming to Career Day, okay? My mom's a stay-at-home mom to every other mom in the world, okay? She did not leave the house mostly. She worked in her studio in the basement, sewing clothes. She didn't have to clock in. There was no commute. She wore whatever she wanted to wear. So in all aspects of the world, because there was no large representation of an entrepreneurial woman, my mom was considered a stay-at-home mom. Oh, but to me, my mom had 35 clients. We see them between Tuesday and Thursday every single week. I answer the phone, hello, Reed residents. Not hey. We were a business. Joshua worked on posters. Chloe worked on engagement. I was public relations. I sought out my mom's first speaking engagements, of course, career days. We received client calls after career days. It was interaction. Probably kicked off my career in public relations. Most definitely kicked off my career in public relations. She taught me to share what I knew. I knew my mom was a great businesswoman and an amazing seamstress. I wanted her to talk to the audiences that I knew, other students, 5th and 6th grade probably. Sharing what I know now has taken me to platforms I've never imagined being, speaking in front of students and international investors, elected officials, strategists. Sharing what I know with women that look like me has taken me to even farther spaces. It's created an opportunity for me to build a bigger family of sisters, a sisterhood of opportunity seekers, stylish opportunity seekers. All of these lessons have led me to understand that representation is not easy. It's not comfortable. It is probably painful, in my opinion. Representation gets you out of your comfort zone. I'm from Detroit, where our hoods, our families, our communities are our culture. And in my community, the North End, it's rough. It's hard. But it was my comfort zone. Leaving Detroit and moving to San Antonio meant getting out of my hood. And my mother, who actually left before I did, showed me how easy it could be. I'm pretty sure she had her ups and downs on moving from Detroit to San Antonio to retire. What exactly could you retire when your lifestyle is representing well? It's part of her life. Instead of seeking a new comfort zone, she reached beyond herself. She joined a quilting bee here in the city. She engaged with a new church. She began to teach youth how to quilt, and she encouraged me to do the same. And so coming from Detroit with my Detroit aunties, literally, and meeting and marrying a man here that happens to be of Nigerian descent, I began to stretch outside of my comfort zone. I hosted my first Nigerian Independence Day event. I brought together my mother and my mom, and then I reached beyond the network, outside of my comfort zone, and renewed our vows in Lagos, Nigeria, just 2 years ago. It was uncomfortable, but I embraced that experience. And my mother taught me that when you embrace the experience of change, you change your experience. And finally, the lesson that my mother continues to teach me, protecting my speech. My mother, at 5 feet tall, is not an intimidating woman. She, like my grandmother, subtly and sweetly demands respect. Protect your speech. Make sure that you earn your voice. Give your voice where you need it to be given. Expand on the sound of your voice when you feel unheard. Strengthen your message when you are misunderstood. Don't let anyone define you. Create an opportunity for your voice to be amplified by building a circle of strength around you. Encourage the voices of others. That's what these lessons taught me. That's what my mother represents to me. That's how I plan to make changes to end generational racism, to end generational wealth gaps, to create great opportunities and pipelines for women business leaders that also encourage their networks, their mentors, their teachers to do the same. Representation matters. Thank you.